Okay. Well, a household has 400 cedis to spend on rice, soap, and soda drinks, and 20 cedis to spend on transporting them to the house. A bag of rice sells for 20 cedis and costs 2 cedis to transport. A pack of soda drink sells for 15 cedis and costs 2 cedis to transport. And a bar of soap sells for 10 Ghana cedis and costs 1 Ghana cedis to transport. The household should buy at least 5 bars of soap. In addition, the household should spend at least 300 cedis on rice, soda, and soap. Write a relation detailing how the available money is spent on the items. All right. So we are given this problem, and don't forget that we are dealing with inequalities. We are just continuing from the previous video. We ended at the inequality, so we are just solving questions under inequalities. Now you are given this problem, and you are told that you must formulate expression detailing how the available money is spent on the items. Now, if I may ask, how many decision variables do you get in this question? How many decision variables do you have here?
3.
3. Okay, so when you are defining decision variables, let's x1,
x2, and x3
x1, x2, and x3
represent the number or quantity of.
Yes, so we are interested in the quantity, not the item itself. So number of what? Soup, soda, and what? Drinks. All right. So first of all, X1 is for rice, S2 is for soup, S3 is for what? Soda. But you don't know the quantity. But we know the what? Unit cost of rice, unit cost of soup, unit cost of what? Soda. And you also have the
soda and rice.
Yeah, soda and rice. All right.
Soap and soda drink.
Okay. And okay. I'm talking about this part. Okay, thank you. So we also know the transportation fee for each of these items or each of these products. Now, first of all, we start with the first constraint. Now we are saying that a household has 400 cedis to spend. Now in inequalities, I told you that when you hear it's available, has something to spend, at most, it is what? Less than or equal to.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And when it is at least, you're going to use greater than or equal to. Yeah, so this one, you are saying a household has 400 cedis to spend. You know that you cannot spend what you cannot spend more than what you are having. If you are having 100 cedis, you cannot spend 150 cedis. You can spend either 100 cedis or below the 100 cedis. Do you get it? So first of all, let's deal with the what amount to spend. Now we are saying a household has 400 cedis to spend, and with the 400 cedis, you must spend on rice, soap, and soda drink. Now, what is the unit cost of the rice? 20, right?
Yeah.
So rice. No, I'm coming. Okay, 20. So 20x1 plus
15x2.
15x2 plus, and what is the unit cost of
10x3?
10x3, good. Then this one, we are not dealing with the equation, so we are not going to use equal sign. We are dealing with inequalities. So inequalities either greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, right? So this one, you are saying the household has 400 cedis to spend, meaning it is what? Is it greater than or equal to or less than or equal to? We are saying the household has 400 cedis to spend. You cannot spend more than what you are having. So it's less than or equal to 400 cedis. Okay. So this is the first expression. Okay, so let's move to the transport. Now we are going to take the transport relating to what? Or the transport incurred in transporting what? Rice, the various products to what? Their destination. You get it? Which is the household. Now we are saying the bag of rice costs 2 cedis to transport. So meaning that 2 cedis relates to what? Rice. Soap. There was a problem on the definition. You didn't tell me. So the first one was rice. Second one, S2 is soap. And the third one is soda drinks. All right. So let's talk about the transport. Now the transport too, we are saying it costs 2 cedis to transport what? The rice. So that one will be 2x1 plus a pack of soda drinks sells for 15 cedis and cost 2 cedis to what? Transport. So remember, we defined soda drink to be what? S3, not S2. Because we said let X1, S2, and S3 represent the number of rice, soap, and soda drink. So now let's look at the price of what? The soda, the soap first, because the soap represents the S2 in the definition we give.
Yeah.
You get it? So if we are following this question, we have to change our definition here. So first of all, I think yes. So the soda drinks will come here. So when you are defining them, just be careful with it. You get it? Good. Yeah. So the soda drinks to the transport fee is what? 2 cedis. So 2x2 plus what is the transport for? Transport fee relating to soap here, bar of soap. That is 1 cedi. A bar of soap sells for 10 cedis and costs 1 cedi to transport. So that one cedi S3. You get it? And this one too, we are saying the household has 20 cedis to spend on transporting them to the house. So which are you going to use? Is it greater than or equal to or less than or equal to?
Less than or equal to. Less than or equal to.
Less than or equal to. How much? 20 cedis.
20 cedis.
Okay. So we are done with the amount spent, the transportation. Now let's move on to this one. They are saying that the household should buy at least 5 bars of soap. So this one, they are talking about the soap. That's the S3. They are talking about S3 alone. So the household should buy at least 5 bars of soap. So at least, when you hear or see at least, what comes into your mind? When you hear at least, what comes into your mind? Please, let's make it interactive so that we move fast. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlie, we are on the meeting right now. Just make it interactive because it seems Verity is the only person talking. So you are saying the household has they should buy at least 5 bars of soap. So which time are you going to use? At least is there.
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to 5. So when you hear at most, it is less than or equal to at least. Greater than or equal to. Okay. So the last one too, in addition, the household should spend at least 300 cedis on rice, soda, and soap. So they are saying that in addition, the household should spend at least 300 on rice, soap, and what? Soda. So the household, they should spend at least 300 cedis. So the least they must spend out of the 400 cedis on these 3 products is what? 300 Ghana cedis. So it means X1, which is rice, plus S2, which is soda drinks, plus S3, which is bar of soap. At least 300 cedis. So when we are hearing or seeing at least, so which sign are you going to use? Is it greater than or equal to or less than or equal to?
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to, yes. Where is it? Greater than or equal to. So these are the 4 expressions we are going to get from this whole problem here. So any questions so far? First of all, we dealt with the amount to spend. Secondly, we dealt with what? The transportation fee. The third expression, we dealt with the quantity or the unit of what? So then the last one we spend about, they said what the household should spend at least 300 cedis. So out of this 400 cedis, the household should spend at least 300 cedis, meaning they shouldn't spend less than 300 cedis out of this 400 cedis on rice, soap, and what? Soda drinks. So the amount out of 100 they are having, they should spend more than 300 Ghana cedis. That's why we are using greater than or equal to. So in inequalities, when you see has to spend, has available, at most, you are using less than or equal to. When you see at least, it means greater than or equal to, but the at most has to spend, has available is less than or equal to. Because when you have something available, you cannot use or spend what more than what you're having. At most means the peak, the highest. So you cannot go beyond that. So that one too is at most. That one too is what less than or equal to. Or at most, that's the peak, like the maximum number you can reach at most. So that one too is less than or equal to. You have something available, you cannot spend more than what you're having. So that one too less than or equal to. But when it is at least, so don't get confused with their names. At least is greater than or equal to, because at least it shouldn't be less than what you are mentioning. So at least anything you mention must be higher than what you mentioned. So here they said at least 300 cedis. So anything they will spend here must be 300 cedis or more than the 300 cedis, but it should not be lesser than the 300 cedis. Any questions so far before we move to the different question?
No question.
Hello. Any question? Do you understand? Do you understand? Q, Fifi, Verity, I hope Verity you understand it, because this is not your first time for it. So the rest, do you understand it? Or you watch the video? You watch the video later? Oh.
I understand. Let's move.
All right. I'm not talking, I'm coming. Okay, so we are done with the inequalities. So we are moving towards linear equations using graphing system. So you can use graph to solve for your decision variables. Note, you can only use the graphing system to solve for your decision variables only if your decision variables are what? Two. So if you are having x1 and x2 in a problem, you can use graphing systems to solve for the value of that x1 and x2. But when you are having more than three decision variables, that is S1, S2, S3, you cannot use graphing systems to solve for the unknown variables of that decision variable. No. But when they are two, if they are only two, you can use the graphing systems of linear equations. So let's look at how you are going to use the graphing systems of linear equations to solve for the value of x1 and x2. So I think we are familiar with this type of problem. So this one, how many decision variables are we having in this question? So I read, a household has 400 cedis to spend on rice and soda drinks, and 40 cedis to spend on what? Transporting them to the house. A bag of rice sells for 20 cedis and costs 1 cedi to transport. Whilst a pack of soda drinks sells for 15 cedis and costs 2 cedis to transport. Assume the household must spend all of 100 cedis and 40 cedis for shopping and transportation, respectively. Write a relation detailing how the available money is spent on the two items and show the relation on a graph. Okay, so let's define a decision variable. So we let x1 and s2 represent the number. Bear in mind, we are interested in our quantity. Number of what? Rice and soda drinks. The number of, or the quantity, or the units. So when you are done, let's deal with the amount to spend. Now we are saying we are having 400 cedis to spend on rice and what? Soda drinks. So the decision variables are only two. So first of all, what is the unit cost of the rice? Bag of rice, it is 20. You multiply the quantity of which you don't know, so times x1 plus the unit cost of the soda drinks. It is 15. You don't know the quantity, so 15x2. This one is equations, linear equations. So you equate it equal to. Okay, so 400 Ghana cedis. We are dealing with amount to spend first. Now we are done with the amount to spend. Let's move on to the transport. Now we are saying the bag of rice costs 1 cedi to transport. So 1 cedi, how many bags are you going to transport? You don't know. So 1 times x1 will give us x1. You don't write 1x1, no. Plus the cost relating to cost in terms of what transport relating to soda drinks is. Please, someone is talking at the back. Okay, so that one is 2x2. 2x2 equals to what? We are having 40 cedis to spend on transportation. So these are the two expressions you are going to have. So the first one, the first equation and second equation. Okay, so we are having equation 1 and equation 2. Now we are going to learn how to use the graphing systems to solve for the value of x1 here and the value of s2 here. So at first in SHS we all know that something like this we are going to use simultaneous equation to solve, or we can use matrix to solve, but we are saying we can use graph to solve for the value of x1 and s2. So the meeting is about to end. Let's rejoin it. And we start with how to use these expressions, because we are going to formulate coordinate from these two expressions. Because when you are drawing on the graph, you draw a straight line. We need coordinates for the starting point and ending point. You get it? So we are having equation 1. How are you going to get the coordinate, the two coordinates, to draw a straight line for equation 1? We are having equation 2. How are you going to get the two coordinates to draw a straight line for equation 2? Then we learn how to use those graphs to solve for the value of x1 and s2. All right, so just join the meeting right now. Thank you. So as I said, you can only use the graphing system of linear equation to solve for the values of the decision variables. So if you can only use the graphing systems of linear equation to solve the decision variables. If if only the decision variables are 2. So this one, there are 2. We have x1 and s2, so we can go ahead and use the graphing systems to solve for the value of x1 and s2. First of all, you're having the expression. You have to get the coordinate from these expressions. So you are going to get coordinate to draw straight line for equation 1, coordinate to draw straight line for equation 2. Now, let's start with how to get the coordinates. Now, when you are starting like this, you first of all represent x1 with 0. So you write when x1 is 0. When x1 is 0, then s2 will be what? What will be x2? Who can tell me? You are having, let's say, 20x1 plus 15. So you represent x1 with 0. So x1 will be 0. So 20 x1. So s1 is 0. Because you are saying when x1 is 0, it has to be s2. Then it will be left with 15 x2 equals to what? 400. This one, 20 times 0 will give us 0. So now nothing will be here. So 15x2 is equal to 400. We want to know the value of x2. So we just divide both sides with the coefficient of x2, which is 15. So divide both sides by 15. Now, what will be the answer for 15 divided by 400 divided by 15? Punch it for me, papa. Who is telling me the answer? Please. I'm not having a calculator here. So, okay, 26.67. So we are having 26.67, right? So when x1 is 0, x2 is 26. Now you come here to write the coordinates. So first of all, that is the first one represent in SHS we are having x and y, but this one instead of x and y we are using x1, x2. So x1 represent the x, s2 represent the y. So xy. So here this would have been our x, this will be our y. So we are using s2, it doesn't change anything. So x1 is 0, 0 command. This is how you write coordinates. We all know about this. So y or the s2 is what 26.67. So this is the first coordinate. We are going to work for the second coordinate. Right. Now we are dealing with the equation 1. Let me write it on top. Equation 1. Right. So we've represented s1 is 0. What do we do next? We represent s2 is 0 as well. So when x2 is 0, then what will be the value for x1? You do the same calculation here. So who can tell me the value of x1 using the method I used here? Yes. Okay. So let me work it fast. So we are representing s2 with 0 this time. So this one we are having 20x1 plus 15x2. So we are saying this time around s2 is 0, right? It's equal to 400. Sorry, I'm using mouse. If any one of you can sacrifice to buy the pen tablet for me, I will be happy. All right, so we are having 20x1 because using the mouse to teach is very, very difficult. It's equal to at 400 because 15 times 0 will be 0. So we are having this, we want to get the x1. So divide both sides by 20, right? So what do you get? So we are getting 20 for x1. So the value will be, so x1 is 20 this time, so 20 comma s2 will be what? 0. So this will be the coordinate to draw a line for equation 1. Undo. Okay, so let's do the same for equation 2. So equation 2, someone should do the calculation, papa, and tell me the answers. I'm not going to waste time doing the calculation with you. So first of all, when x1 is 0, we are dealing with equation 2. When x1 is 0, what will be the value of x2? Please tell me the answer.
20.
So when x1 is 0, s2 is what? 20. Okay, thank you. So the coordinate will be 0, 20, right? Then when x2 is 0, x1 will be what?
40.
X1 will be 40. Thank you, senior. So the coordinate will be 40, 0. Okay. So let's move on to plot our lines here. So let's use the 10-10. So 10 here, 20, 30, 40, 50. So we have 10 here, 20 here. Today, I'm sorry for the noise. You know, I'm in school now, so with the noise, you have to manage it. So we have 40 here. Yes, because you cannot tell them to keep quiet because of your class. All right, so the first one, we are plotting equation 1 first. We are plotting this. So the first one, we are having 0 and 26. So 0 and 26, where do you think the point will be? Fast. We are having 0 and 26. So when x1 is 0, so this line, this axis is for x2, this axis is for x1. So when x1 is 0 here, this is 0. When x1 is 0, s2 is 26.67. So it will be here, somewhere here. So first point, when x1 is 20, this is s1. x1 is 20 here, x2 is 0, so it will be on this 20. Then you join the point. So the equation for this is what? The equation 1. That was this thing. 20x1 plus 15x2 is equal to 400. So this is the straight line for that one. Coming. So let's move on to that of equation 2. The equation 2. So the equation 2, when x1 is 0, s2 is what? 20. So x1 is 0. 0 is here, right? s2 is 20. So it will be on this line. This 20 here on the s2 axis. Now the second coordinate, we are saying when x1 is 40, s1 is 40, s2 is 0. So it will be here. s1 is 40, s2 is 0. So it will be on this one. Now you join those 2 points too. All right. So this one too becomes the second equation. That was x1 plus 2x2 is equal to, let me write, x1 plus 2x2 is equal to, good. So this is the equation for the second one too. Now we are learning how to use the graphing system to solve for the value of x1 and s2. Now, how do you know the values of s1 and s2? When you are having the line, the decision variables to be 2, and you are solving it under equalities, not inequalities, equalities. Equalities are when we use the equal to sign. Inequalities are when you are going to use the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and stuff. But with the equations, you are using equal sign. So when you are dealing or solving it under equalities, and the decision variables are 2, after getting the coordinates from the expressions here, plotting it on the graph, you look through where they meet. You just check where they meet and trace it down. When you trace it down, it will be like this. So then you trade it to the S2. You trace it to the S2 axis. So now this one was not drawn to scale. When you draw it to scale, when you use a graph and draw it correctly, you are going to get the S1 value as 8, get the S2 value as 16. So it will be S1 is 8, S2 is what? 16. So the values for X1 and S2 are 8. So therefore, the values of X1 and X2 are 8 and 16 respectively. So first of all, when you're asked to use the graphing system to solve for the value of X1 and S2, just check whether the decision variables are only 2. If they are 2, move on to formulate your expression. After formulating it, get your coordinates. You let S1 represent 0, then you find S2. When you finish, you will let S2 equal to 0, you will find for S1. After that, you do the same for equation 2. Then you plot it on the graph. You draw a straight line for equation 1, straight line for equation 2 using their coordinates that you yourself formulated. This is the correct way. After that, you check their intersection where they meet. You trace it to the X1 axis, you trace it to the S2 axis. Then that one will be those points will become your what? Your value for X1 and S2. So, any questions so far? So basically, this is how you deal with such questions. So any questions so far? Any questions so far?
No, it's all
All right. So let's move on to the slide again. I hope you can see the slide now.
No.
So this is how it will look like.
Okay.
So you got 8 and 16. So the same thing as you got. Now, the first one are graphing systems of linear equalities. We are going to check or learn about graphing systems of linear inequalities. So the word that changes is what? Equality and inequalities. So equality is not the same as inequalities. Equalities means they are the same. Inequalities means they are not the same. It's not equal to. That's when we are talking about inequalities, but it's equal to. We are talking about equalities. You get it? So now we are saying, let me explain this. The next time we meet in our next video, we will take it from here. So an inequality of the form A1 X1 plus A2 S2. So an equality of the form A1 X1 plus S2, A2 and S2 is what? Less than or equal to B corresponds to a half space. Now, how do you mean by this? When you are dealing with the inequalities, the straight line here is when you are going to use the equal sign, you see. Then when it is greater than or equal to, you shade upwards, like what they have done here, right? When it is less than or equal to, after drawing your straight line, you shade downwards. That's when you hear or you see less than or equal to. When it is greater than or equal to, you shade upwards. Let me explain this on your whiteboard. So now, you're having your straight line. So if you are having 20x1 plus 15x2 less than or equal to 40 or 400, the straight line here, always the straight line is equal to, always, every straight line is equal to something. So the straight line is what? The equal to. So the straight line is the 20x1 plus 15x2 is equal to what? 400. Now the moment you see less than or equal to, meaning less than, you are shading downwards. So you are going to shade downwards. But make sure your shading doesn't like exceed the straight line. I'm using mouse, that's why I'm suffering to get the exact point. So when you are shading it downwards, make sure that lines you are drawing downwards touches the straight line. You shouldn't go beyond the straight line. You get it? Like this, then you shade to the end. So this is how we deal with the less than or equal to. Now let's talk about the greater than or equal to. So let's say you are having x1 plus 2x2. This time around we are doing it greater than or what? Equal to 40. The first one we dealt with the less than. So this one we are dealing with the greater than. So your straight line will becomes your equal to. You get it? So the straight line will be x1 plus 2x2. Every straight line is equal to. Okay, so as I was saying, when you're having something like x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 40, greater than or equal to 40. So as I said, every straight line is the equal sign. So every straight line on the line, like the straight line itself, that line you've drawn is the equal to. So this one becomes the x1 plus 2s2. 2s2 is equal to what? 2s2 is equal to 40. So on the straight line, it becomes the equal sign. Then when it is greater than, you shade upwards. Unlike the less than, that one you shade downwards. You get it? So you can use this one to solve for the value of x1 and x2. Now the only difference is when you are using the inequalities, like these shaded ones, when you are using them, you get like shaded regions. Like these two, with these inequalities, you can use them even if your decision variables are more than 2. Even if they are 3, you can still use them. But you are going to shade. If this one is upwards, if this one is moving downwards, is greater than or less than, you are going to shade. Where they meet, you will get the particular region where they meet. So that region, we call it feasible region. So the feasible region is where you are going to get your optimal solution. Because using the equalities where the lines meet, the one we just saw, where the lines meet becomes your answer. The intersection point becomes your answer. You get it? So that place your optimal solution. But with the inequalities, you will not get that answer straightforward. You get it within that feasible region. So you get multiple answers, but you have to choose the satisfied one. So if you are dealing with profit, you'll be given a function. If you are dealing with cost, you'll be given a function. Then you use that function to solve for the value of what? S1 and S2. So thank you for making it to today's class. I'll urge you all to join another time we meet. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right. Good night. Bye-bye.